So there's a lot of people that wonders about who can dive in a cenote, and that depends on the type of cenote. A cenote like this one, for example, that's completely open, like you can see, is perfect for taking scuba diving classes. This is like a natural swimming pool. My name is Noe. I'm a scuba diving instructor and full cape diver too, and cavern guide. Been a cavern guide since the year 2011, so now, yeah, it's been 9 years. There's cavern cenotes that have overhead covered environments, that are overhead covered environments, and for diving in those you need to be certified as an open water diver and to have dived at least within the last year. If you haven't dived within if you're certified and you haven't dived within the last year, you can always do a first dive in a place like this that's open water and easy to dive, so that you refresh your dive skills, and then go for a cavern dive on the second dive, or you could do the first dive in the sea. Also, if you're not certified, you can take a PADI course or SSI course that lasts for 3 days, and after you finish it, you can dive in a cavern. It's important to keep stress factors low to keep diving safely and fun. So it's important to dive in on an easy to dive cavern for the first time you're diving on a cavern, because that will already be a stress factor. We don't want to add depth, or that the cavern is too small. In my opinion, the best option we have for that in here is Cenote dos Ojos. It's a very shallow cenote. Maximum depth for the first dive is 6 meters. For the second dive is a bit more. It's very ample. There's a lot of light. All the first half of the first dive is done almost in open water. That means right next to it.
Is this the ancient Mayan way of entering the water?
It is.
Peter Pan couldn't have done it better.
Oh, fuck, it's so nice, man. It's hot out there. Diving in a cenote is not so much about the life that you will see. It's more about the experience of being in that space. It's more about a feeling, let's say. It's quite a mystical experience. Imagine that you are diving on a place where you have 100 meters, 300 feet visibility, where it seems that there's no water. At the same time, it's absolutely calm. There's no perceptible current, so you feel more buoyancy control, and so yeah, it seems a lot like flying. Diving in the sea already feels a bit like flying to me, but cavern takes it into a whole different level. And then the place itself is very beautiful because it's full of formations, stalactites, stalagmites, columns, and when you look into the entrance into the opening, and there's light from the sun coming in, you get to see some beautiful light beams. Since there's no particles in the water to reflect the light, you can see the beam. It looks like a Star Wars blade or something like that.
Lightsaber.
Yeah, like a lightsaber. And yeah, believe me, it feels like, wow, this is another world, I'm an astronaut. There's caves in many parts of the world, but the thing is that they are not like the caves in here. They are not as big. The openings are not as big, and so they're not so suitable for doing cavern diving because you don't have such a big opening to dive around of. In some other parts the water is too cold, or in some other parts there's too much current. In here we have the perfect conditions. We have big openings you can dive around of with beautiful light beams coming in. We have quite warm water, no current, so ideal for people that has been never diving in a cavern. All these conditions make it possible for us to take open water divers into the cavern. There's many other cenotes apart from this one I already told you. Even some are still good for doing a first time cavern dive, like car wash. It's still quite ample, a bit deeper, a bit darker too, but it works. And then there's more advanced ones, like for example Angelita and the Pit, that are both deep and both gorgeous. Angelita having this amazing underwater cloud that's pretty surrealistic, looks like diving on a, I don't know, like a scary movie thing. The Pit that has a light beam that in the summertime gets down to 27 meters into a less thick cloud than Angelita. It's full of formations. There's Cenote Calavera, for example, that has a great halocline where fresh and salty water meet. That creates some crazy optical effects. When you're on top of it, it looks like if you were flying in top of water, because the light gets refracted same as when it passes from water to the air, and so it makes it look like there's water below you, but really it's that you have the salty water. But for diving in those, it's better if you already feel comfortable diving in a cavern. This cenote is amazing for learning how to dive. Like you can see, there's, well, those parts that look white over there, it's a beautiful sandy bottom, and that's where we practice skills. And the cenote then continues for 250 meters, so there's quite a long way to go still, and that's ideal for doing a dive, especially for a first time dive. But any diver coming here will be happy. Even a very advanced cave diver will be happy diving in this place. That's very particular. We have the sea right in front of us. Let's show you guys. And so there's fish from the sea that go into the cenote, and there's also freshwater fish living in it. It's the only place I have seen myself where you find both together. And there's some cracks on the rocks you can dive through. And also for divers that do have some experience, the ones that are certified, we can dive under the mangrove. So mangrove cavern basically, and you can see all the roots of the mangrove on top of you. That's really amazing. And here we have the sea, right over there where those buoys are. I don't know if you can see that the water surface looks different. That's where the cenote water is coming out. That's pretty crazy. That's
the exit of the cave?
Yeah, that's the exit of the cave. And it's one of the ways out into the sea for the longest the longest underground river, we could say, or flooded cave system. It's called Zacactun and has, I don't remember exactly, but something like 340 kilometers of cave tunnels that have been explored. And that water is coming out in here. Not all of it, but some. So yeah, a lot of people think that a cenote dive is a cave dive, that you will be going into a cave tunnel. Wow, man, look at this shark sucker.
What?
Shark sucker? Those fish that stick into the sharks and
remora, are they?
That's how it's called. I thought it was called shark sucker. He says there's a manatee here, man.
Really?
¿Sí hay un manatí ahora en el agua? Going back to the cenote and cave thing, what we do with open water divers, when we guide them, we call cavern diving. And what makes it different from a cave dive, in which you would actually go into the cave tunnel and get very far from the entrance, is that we dive right next to the opening, to the entrance. And so if there's an emergency, we can always get back to the surface very fast. For a dive to be considered a cavern dive, you have to be closer than 60 meters. That would be something like 180 feet from the surface on a straight line. That's the main condition.
Yep.
So we're always very close. You can always see the surface, and always if there's an emergency, you can get there fast. And that's why we can take open water divers into the caverns. For going deeper into the cave, you need to be certified as a cave diver, and there's special training for that.